Today I'm finally testing out Blonde Solutions Violet Pigmented Lightener and testing it on this level 2 swatch. I'm gonna see how well this bleach lifts, processes, and exactly where it lives on the Manelli scale. So stick around to the very end and see if Blonde Solutions really is the best bleach lightener for dark hair. And if you're new here, my name is Mirella Manelli. I'm a hair educator who loves helping hairstylists simplify their skills in business. So give this video a like, subscribe, share it with a hairstylist friend so that way we can get these videos to the right people. Now let's get right into this video. Now I have been trying to get my hands on this bleach lightener for some time now because so many of you have been wanting me to test this out. So I am so excited to have this in my hands today because this is going to be a completely blind test because I've never tried this bleach lightener before. As a matter of fact, the owner of Blonde Solutions got wind of my Ultimate Bleach Lightener series, which, by the way, if you haven't seen the other videos of the Ultimate Bleach Lightener series, make sure you check out the description down below. And feels super confident that this bleach lightener is going to outperform all of the other pro hair bleach lighteners that I've tested on my channel to date. So I'm so excited to finally put this bleach lightener to the test, and thank you so much Blonde Solutions for gifting me this bleach lightener and the developers. Now if you're new to my bleach lightener series, I always test on a level 2 swatch and normally use 20 volume, but since Blonde Solutions sent me 35 vol just for funsies, we're going to go ahead and test that out too, just so you can see what the difference is. Now, if your bleach lightener has not been tested yet, please let me know down below in the comments. Now let's go ahead and put Blonde Solutions to the test. This is the Blonde Solutions Violet Pigmented Lightener that retails for $54 for a 35.27 ounce container, and it's also known as the Kilo. Now, some key features and benefits is that Blonde Solutions claims to be the market's first true lift and tone lightener. It has a revolutionary pigment capsule technology that is now setting the standard for the healthiest and lightest levels the industry has seen. It provides up to 9 levels of lift with its pigmented developers. It has unbelievable cool toning effect, helping to remove the yellow and orange pigments, and it's made for all hair types. So let's go ahead and open this up and see what's inside, because like I mentioned, I've never used this bleach lightener before, so I'm super excited to try this. Now already I love that it's in a bag, so it kind of gives you the option of dispensing it into your own container if you really want to, or just keeping it in the bag itself. And it has this little kind of Ziploc security on top. Oh, there is another bag inside of a bag. There's 2 bags inside of this bag. So we also got a little scooper as well. Oh, I think this one might be a little opened, but that's still cool nonetheless. So it kind of gives you the option. Again, I kind of like dispensing this into my own container. Now, I think for this video today, I'm going to go ahead and dispense this inside, and that way we can even see what the plume is doing. Now, on closer inspection, I noticed that each of these bags are kind of different. Like, I don't know if this one's more vacuum packed than this one, and this one might have been the one that spilled. They feel about the same. Is this how they package the white powder? Is that why it's called Kilo? I don't know. Okay, let's go ahead and open this up. Call me Walter White.
I am the one who knocks.
Trapping like the narco. Got dope like Pablo. Cut throat like Pablo. Chop trees with the Draco.
Now that I have both bags dispensed in here, so far kind of what I'm feeling is a very fine powder. And so far from like my experience, the finer the powder, the more stronger and higher lift I've been getting from these bleach lighteners. Let's see how much dust factor we got going on. Now, just in all fairness, this did not say that it was dust free. However, I'm not really seeing too much going on. This is pretty minimal on how much it's doing, although it is kind of like, I feel like it's getting everywhere. Got a lot of little granules going on. So being as clean as possible with this is going to be super important. I would probably put this in its own container, or you can use this. It's really kind of up to you. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the developers, because that is what makes this bleach lightener really unique. So I'm going to first open up the 20 vol. Now it did kind of explode in the box just a little bit. I think it's just like during the shipping, it kind of squeezes a little tight, and then the air just makes it kind of go out. So I'm already had a little sneak peek preview, and this is why I wanted to show you guys on a light colored bowl. But like, look how blue pigmented that is. So this is the 20 vol. Let's go ahead and take a peek at the 35 vol and see if that one looks the same. Yeah, it's the same. That's pretty intense blue. This looks like a full-on like blue shampoo. Oh, it has a very interesting fragrance. Kind of smells like shampoo. It's giving like beauty school shampoo though. Yeah, this definitely like reminds me of beauty school, like this smell. So let's go ahead and mix up the bleach lightener with the developer. Now the way that you're gonna mix this up is at a 1:2 mixing ratio. So I have my scale here and I'm gonna start out with, let's go ahead and do 30 grams. And now I'm gonna go ahead and mix up my 20 vol. So since I have 30 grams in here, we're gonna go ahead and put a total of 90 grams. I really do like that this is a squeezy bottle. Now the key to mixing this up is you want to make sure that you're thoroughly blending the micro pigmented capsules that are built inside of the developer and also with the bleach lightener. And they highly recommend that you mix this up for a total of 2 to 4 minutes. Now, they also highly suggest that you use an electric mixer, but for this test today, we're gonna be doing the electric mixer, but I'm also, just for funsies, gonna be doing a hand homogenized mix for a limited amount of minutes just to see if there's really a difference, but we'll get to that a little bit later in the video. So I'm gonna go ahead and set this for 60 seconds because that's kind of like the highest. I have a 75-second, but just to make my life a little easier for adding the time up, I'm gonna push this a total of 4 times. We're gonna do it again. Yeah. And a 3rd time. And a 4th time. Pretty nice. Yay. All right, it's finally mixed. Let's go ahead and pop this bad boy open. You know what? I haven't used this mixer in such a long time because I'm gonna be honest, it's kind of like a pain in the butt to clean sometimes, but it is worth it. It does do a really good job of mixing. Now that I got all of that situated, it's a little bit of a hindrance just to wait for the mixing time, although you can mix it and then set up your tray, get your client draped, maybe go get a drink for you and your client. I mean, there's lots of things you can do in the 2 to 4 minutes, but you know, the little impatient part of me likes to kind of whip this up. Is slightly a little bit of a negative, but if the results are worth it, I'm willing to wait the 4 minutes. So let's go ahead and smell this. It's a little strong. It kind of smells like I said, the beauty school smell from the developer. I'm getting that fragrance mixed in with the bleach smell. It's not bad, but it's definitely strong. Like I'm taking the most tiniest little whiffs. And I know a lot of you guys were super concerned when I've been smelling these bleach lighteners, but I promise it's not, I'm not doing a full inhale, okay? So let's go ahead and do the brush test to see how well the precision is. This is actually pretty nice. I like it. It's not moving. This is a very nice consistency. I feel like with it being whipped in the bowl too, it just feels nice and fluffy, but also like I'm gonna get a lot of saturation from one brush stroke. So let's go ahead and get this 20 vol on 2 different swatches because we're gonna be processing one at 60 minutes, which is typically what I do for all of my bleach lightener tests. And the other one we're gonna process for the full 2 hours, which Blonde Solutions is the only bleach lightener that I've known to let us process for that long. So I'm really excited. The other little call out with this bleach lightener is that you can use it in a foil. You can do like on and off scalp bleach applications. So there's a lot of different ways you can use this bleach lightener. And like I mentioned, you can process this up to 120 minutes, which is insane. Now, so far this feels really creamy. It feels very hydrated. I can see a lot of blue pigment, which I'm kind of interested to know if that's going to hinder the viewing process as it's lightening. I have seen lots of videos of Blonde Solutions and how it processes, and it looks like it stays blue. So I'm just kind of hoping that that doesn't play a trick on my eye and, you know, I'm taking the bleach lightener off a little too early. Now the key to getting proper lift is proper saturation. So I am going to be applying on both sides of this swatch. I really can't put my finger on exactly what this smells like. I'm literally giving me like something with Miss Clairol. I don't know if they will find that offensive or not, but it's just giving me that, it's like slightly floral fragrance from beauty school. Okay, so I've literally been applying this for like literally about a minute and we're already seeing lift. Like I think this is probably the first time I've ever seen anything lift this quickly. So we shall see. We shall see. I'm just starting to see a little bit of lift happening already, but let's go ahead and cover this up. Let's go ahead and process this for 60 minutes and then this one for 120 minutes, and then we'll be back with the results. Now that it's been 60 minutes, let's go ahead and take a peek inside of what's going on with this 20 volume foil. Now immediately I can feel a little bit of swelling action, or kind of like middle of the road swelling action. It definitely feels like a little puffy for sure. And what I'm seeing in the bowl though is a lot of swell factor. We've got quite a bit of swelling going on and lots of little air pockets. This feels like super fluffy, although it's not really collapsing as quickly as I'd thought it would, or now it is. So this is pretty high on the swell factor for me. So let's go ahead and take a peek inside of this foil. So this is after 60 minutes. This is not the full processing time. So let me go ahead and wipe this clean and see. And you know what? Immediately, I just feel like this is really difficult to truly see how light this is, because the blue is still, I feel like, playing a trick on my eye. I see a lot of lightning action happening, and I feel like for the most part, if I opened this level 2 hair on a client, I probably would keep processing it. But I'm excited to just go ahead and wash this off, see how light it can get in half of the time, because that's generally how long we process a lot of the bleach lighteners. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and wash this off and I'll be right back. Now that it's been 120 minutes with this 20 volt developer, let's take a little peek at what's going on in this foil. And this one feels very similar to the 60-minute one. We got some swelling action here. So maybe it kind of like peaks at a certain point. I don't know, but let's go ahead and take a peek at the actual inside. Okay, this looks pretty freaking light. I mean, based on the 60-minute one, from what I remember it looking like to this, is pretty insane. This for sure, I can see how light it is. Although the blue is definitely playing a little trick on my eye still, but now that I'm starting to get a little seasoned with how it's supposed to process, I can see how light this is. So let's go ahead and wash this off, because this looks pretty light. Now that I have the 20 vol swatches completely shampooed and blow dried, we got an amazing result. Now you can see a huge difference between the 60-minute and the 120-minute, but when we're thinking about the Manelli scale, which I'm going to share with you a little bit later, I really want to focus on the 60-minute timing, just because that is going to be the most fairest option here. I think at the end of the day, if we were to process any bleach lightener to 120 minutes, we probably would get a much lighter end result. However, there are a couple of key factors as to why I now understand why you have the option of processing up to 120 minutes with blonde solutions. Now, before I get into that, let's go ahead and see exactly where these swatches lie on the level finder. So first, let's go ahead and start with the 60-minute swatch. Now you can instantly see right off the bat, we got a solid level 9. Now I will admit, I probably could have done a little bit better saturation of my bleach lightener, because these are some pretty big hair swatches, as many of you have commented on my prior videos. However, I did saturate both sides of this swatch, but we still got a solid level 9. It is really blonde, and the other thing that I really like about this is the toning factor. I really feel like it did a really good job of toning overall. And for 60 minutes of processing time to go from a level 2 to a level 9 is pretty impressive. But let's go ahead and see what the difference is with the 120-minute swatch. Now, when it comes to processing blonde solutions for 2 hours with 20 volume developer, we got a solid level 10. Now, this isn't just any level 10 in my opinion. This is a beautiful 10G swatch that most clients always point to, the type of highlight color that they want or the type of blonde that they want. I feel like I could definitely bleach and maybe lightly tone, or maybe not even tone at all, and get a really beautiful, gorgeous end result. I'm pretty impressed with the timing of it, and I like the versatility. of this bleach lightener, and I just really love how light this got. Now, some of the things that I really loved about this bleach lightener is that it was really creamy and rich, and it felt really nice to apply onto the hair. You could really tell how the developer with the bleach actually kept the hair really hydrated to keep the bleach processing and moving. And like I mentioned, I think that if you were to use any bleach lightener and process it for 2 hours, we probably would get a similar lift. However, there would be a point where I think most powder bleach lighteners might dry out, and I can see why this one continued to process. And when it comes to the lift and then also the tone of these, I'm actually quite impressed. Now, the area where it just kind of maybe fell a little short for me is the integrity. While it does feel really nice, it also isn't the best integrity I've ever felt. I do think there are other bleach lighteners that feel 100 times better than this. However, that's not enough to deter me from not ever using this bleach lightener. I do think there are things that you can do to prepare the hair for any bleach service, or even integrate some bonding treatments into your hair routine, and then even at-home care can really do a world of a difference in using this product. The other thing that I really like about Blonde Solutions is the versatility. I really think that you can do a multitude of bleach lightener services like on and off scalp, and of course foil highlights. I can't quite see myself using this as a balayage technique. However, if you are bleaching somebody with really dark hair and you want a lot of lift, you're probably using foil anyway. I mean, you have to admit this is pretty impressive to go to a level 9 and a level 10 from a level 2 hair swatch. So now that we've seen these results, let's go ahead and move on to mixing up the 35 all. Now that I got the 30 grams in, let's go ahead and see how this feels. And it kind of feels like almost like clumpy sand. Obviously there's no hydration or moisture in this, but because there's not a lot of plume with this, kind of like condensing together, it kind of almost reminds me of the Alter Ego bleach lightener that I used in my other bleach lightener video. Way different in the sense that this feels a lot more finer. Like you can feel the tiniest little bit of granules in this. Now let's go ahead and put the developer in. So I have 30 grams here in this bowl. So we're just gonna go ahead and put in a total of 90 grams. I think it's burnt out. There it goes. And pour. Now let's go ahead and get this 35 all on the swatches. I'm so excited to see if this truly makes a difference. Now, some of the feedback that I've gotten from a lot of you on Instagram and YouTube is that you kind of don't need the 35 vol in most cases because there's such a long processing time, and a lot of you tend to like the 10 vol. Just out of curiosity, I just really want to try the 35 vol and just actually see if that truly makes a difference. I think the thing that I'm most excited about testing this bleach lightener out is to see if the toning effect truly is possible. Just because most of the blue pigmented lighteners that I have tested, they do an okay job of toning out a lot of those yellow pigments, but 9 times out of 10, we're still having to tone all of the hair. So this is going to be so revolutionary if we actually get a lot of control with this blue pigment kind of going on. If it makes a huge difference on these swatches, because what I've seen on Instagram is some amazing transformations, making the hair super ultra white. So this is really, really exciting to see how far these swatches can really be pushed. Now, one of the things that looks a little interesting as I'm applying this 35 all is I get it on smooth, and then almost instantaneously, there's like these little air pockets kind of happening. Like it starts to open up, if that makes sense. So I definitely think that the 35 vol is allowing a lot more oxygen in here, and you can almost kind of see that happening because the bleach lightener is slightly moving and shifting, although it is kind of staying exactly where I place it. So that's the biggest difference here. But I do see the little air pockets inside. And that's something that I'm really curious to see is the swell factor with this one. Does this actually move? That is probably one of the most important things that hairstylists look for, is the swell factor. They want to know if the bleach is going to move. And even if it does lift really great, a lot of times hairstyles will kind of like work around that, and others will just be like, heck no, I need to find a lightener that just simply does not move. I feel like for the most part, I'm a little flexible. As long as I know exactly what the bleach lightener does, and if it's good, I might use it, but it would be a win-win if it doesn't swell very much and it just stays in place. So now I'm gonna go ahead and process one for 60 minutes and one for 120 minutes, and we'll be back with the results. Now that it's been 60 minutes with the 35 vol, let's take a look at this foil. We have a ton of swelling action going on, and that's to be expected. I expect there to be some swell factor when we're using higher volumes of developer. This is almost a 40 vol, so I am definitely expecting that, but look at this puffy puff action happening. And then holy cow, look at this bowl. This like went almost to the top of this bowl. This is insane, and definitely lots of air going on in here, lots of oxygen, but holy cow, I am kind of shocked at how much swell factor we got. But let's go ahead and see what happens with the 35 vol after just 60 minutes. And again, I can't really tell how light this is. I'm thinking that it's light because it does look really similar to how the 20 vol looked when we opened it up, but because of the blue pigment, it's really hard to tell. So this might be a lightener that as you use it, you kind of get acquainted to how much timing you need and also the lift and what it kind of looks like with the blue pigment. But let's go ahead and wash this off. Now that's been 2 hours that have gone by with 35 vol. I mean, that's insane. Let's go ahead and see what's going on with this foil. We got the same swell action that we had from the 60-minute foil. So I feel like it just kind of peaks out at whatever it's gonna swell to, it's done, which is kind of nice. It doesn't continue to swell, but let's go ahead and take a peek at what's inside this foil. I mean, this is some pretty intense lightness I see inside of this foil, which is insane, but I mean, what lightener wouldn't continue to lighten, right? After 120 minutes. I mean, it's going to continue to do what it's going to do, but I will say this, the fact that this lightener is so rich and creamy, it maintains that hydration so it doesn't feel like it's dried out. I think that's what makes it continue to process. But let's go ahead and rinse this off and see what the results are. Now that the 35 vol hair swatches are washed and dried, let's go ahead and review the results. Now my overall first impressions of these swatches is that we got a really similar lift to the 20 volume hair swatches, and we also got a very similar integrity. However, there are some subtle differences, so let's go ahead and talk about them. Now immediately just looking at these swatches, I do feel like they look just like the 20 volume swatch. However, what I'm kind of seeing here is we got a much more even lift, almost a slightly brighter lift, and a little bit more tonal control. I think where I'll see the major difference between using 20 vol versus 35 vol is if I'm working on a client with thicker or higher density hair. So now let's go ahead and size these up to the level finder. Now immediately off the bat, I know this is not an 8, we got the magic level 9. We got amazing lift with the 60-minute hair swatch. And the main difference between this swatch versus the 20 volume swatch, like I mentioned, it's just slightly brighter. It's just slightly more even lift and a much more even tone. So for that reason, this did give a slightly better impact than the 20 vol. The other thing you need to know is that a level 9 is truly the magic level. You can do almost anything with a level 9. We can tone to enhance or tone to neutralize. We can even get really cool silver shades at a level 9. So this is pretty impressive that we got a level 9 with the 35 vol for just 60 minutes. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the 2-hour swatch. Immediately level 10, but this just isn't any level 10. This is a magic level 10 that is at true, like I've mentioned before, that 10G or maybe even the 10N swatch that a lot of your clients point at and tell you that's the tone of highlight that they want. That's kind of what we got with this. This just looks so amazing. I'm super impressed with the control factor here. I don't feel like this looks super brassy. It's honestly a phenomenal lift on a level 2 swatch. And even just seeing that side by side, it's so impressive that it did this in, like I said, 2 hours. And while 2 hours might seem like a lot of time to let something process, realistically, by the time we start a lot of our full highlights, the foils in the back have been sitting on for quite some time. So I like that there's some versatility in allowing the bleach lightener to kind of do its thing, so that way it can continue to process without compromising the integrity to the point of breakage. Overall, I think we got a really great lift. I think that there's phenomenal tone going from a 2 to a 9 and even a 10. Having that versatility in the timing, I mean, there's just so many pros to this bleach lightener. I'm really excited to play around with it a little bit more and see what types of differences there can be between using 10, 20, and 35 vol in blonde solutions. This is definitely a bleach lightener that I would add to my arsenal. Now I'm gonna go ahead and mix up a batch of lightener without using the electric mixer, just because I wanna see how difficult it is to actually mix up by hand. And I also kind of want to see what happens if you do improperly mix it, just because I got a lot of DMs telling me to definitely properly mix it, because what can happen is you'll see a lot of the color kind of spreading through, like little bursts of purple and blue. So I'm curious to see if that actually happens. So I'm going to go ahead and mix it up exactly the same, adding a total of 90 grams here, so still at a 1 to 2. So I'm just gonna go ahead and mix this up how I normally would do my bleach lightener, which is right until I think it's done mixing. And I can instantly see or notice why they're telling you to use a mixer, or at least mix it for 4 minutes, because just doing this for the few seconds that I have, it looks like it's done. So I'm gonna stop kind of right here, to be honest, because I don't see any more powder. This is what I probably would mix it to, and you can see how much pigment is going on with this, because the one in the mixer, it kind of looked a little bit lighter in my opinion. Let's go ahead and get this on a swatch and see what happens. Let's go ahead and get this on, and so far this appears to be mixed properly because there's no white powder, although I can see a little bit of granular little things kind of happening in here. And if this happens to you even with a traditional bleach lightener, maybe this is also an indication that we should be using the mixer to properly mix our bleach lightener. That might be a good test altogether to see if that impacts the amount of lightening we get based on how we're mixing our bleach lightener. But let's go ahead and get this on and see. Oh yeah, look at that. That is not smooth whatsoever. This reminds me of the JKS bleach lightener that I mixed up, and it just did not move well. It didn't spread well. I felt like I was just getting a lot of stripes from my brush. It's definitely not smooth. So this is a huge indication of how important it is to properly mix up this product. So this is something that you don't want to skimp on, but I don't know if you can see on the overhead camera, but there's lots of like stripes kind of going on with this. I am just going to process this one for the 60 minutes because I don't think we need to leave it on for the full 120 to see if that does make an impact. I just want to know if this is going to give me an even lift by not mixing it up properly. And then also to show you the huge difference between how it feels and how it looks and how it should look if you mix it up properly versus not. And so far how this feels not properly mixed up, this is a big no-no for me. Like I wouldn't want to use this bleach lightener if it felt like this. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop there and then start the timer for 60 minutes. Now that it's been 60 minutes, I wanted to take a look at the bowl that we purposely did not mix up properly. So the pigment kind of shifted a little bit. It's not as dark blue. It's starting to look more similar to the other bowls of lightener that we mixed up, and it's probably because at some point it started to kind of homogenize together. We still got a little bit of swell factor here, very similar to the original 20 vol. So nothing really changed with that. Now there's not much swelling going on in the foil, very little. Again, kind of similar to what's in the bowl and also with the properly mixed up 20 vol developer. So let's go ahead and take a peek inside. I don't know, maybe I got magic hands and I just do a really good job of mixing in less than a minute. But based on the results from the first one to this, it looks the same. The major difference here was the viscosity and the way that it felt going on. It definitely was a big negative for me, but let me go ahead and wash this off and let's see if there's any patchiness kind of going on. Now here are the results for the swatch where we mixed up the bleach lightener with minimal time with just hand manipulation. I think we got a great lift. I don't really see too much of a difference. However, there were people on Instagram that told me it is a must to mix it up in a mixer, just because when they were working with it personally on clients, they started to see little bursts of blues and purples kind of coming through, and you will see those little pigment molecules kind of showing up in the foil as you're painting. So in order to avoid that on a real client, I'm still going to hands down recommend that you use a mixer. The other thing, aside from it looking and lifting the same, is the viscosity. The viscosity was not the same. I did not like this lightener without mixing it properly. So for that reason, 100% mix it for the 2 to 4 minutes that's recommended. And if you have a pro mixer, definitely use it. Now that this test is complete, let's go ahead and size up this bleach lightener on the Manelli scale. Now overall, Blonde Solutions did a phenomenal job, but some areas where it kind of fell short on the Manelli scale were swell, integrity, and in price. So when it came to the swell factor, we did have a little bit of swelling. However, in my opinion, with using the 20 vol, it wasn't anything that I could work around as I got to know the lightener a little bit better. The 35 vol did swell up a ton, but that's not what we're going to be sizing up for the Manelli scale. We're only focused on the 20 vol. So for that reason, I did give it a 7. Now, when it came to integrity, I was expecting a little bit more out of this bleach lightener just because so many of you spoke so highly of this bleach lightener, including the owner, of course, who said this lightener would completely blow away all of the rest of the competition that I've tested on my channel. Now, while I do agree there are some great features and benefits of this bleach lightener, I just simply was hoping that I would get a little bit more integrity out of the bleach lightener. However, like I mentioned prior, I think there's ways around that by adding bond builders or prepping the hair before a service and even offering some maintenance services after the service is complete. Now, when it comes to price, I did score it a 7. Now, while I did get this bleach lightener gifted to me from Blonde Solutions, if I were to purchase this bleach lightener, it would cost me a little bit over $1.50 per ounce without the developer. So it is a little bit more on the pricier side. However, there are plenty of other features that kind of outweigh the price. And if you're willing to pay a little bit more to get a higher lift, it might be worth the buck. Now, where it did score really high was in lift, timing, and neutralization. Now, this is one of the few bleach lighteners that actually reached a level 9 in 60 minutes with 20 volume developer. And for that reason, that is super impressive. The other part that I really loved about this lightener is the timing, because realistically, when we're doing foil applications or even bleach retouches or a full bleach and tone that's a virgin application, or even doing any type of color correction, most of the time we need a little bit more than 30, 45, or even 60 minutes of processing. So I like that I have a little bit more leeway when it comes to doing a full highlight application. I like that the timing is a little bit more flexible in that area. And when it comes to neutralization, this bleach lightener did blow me away. Now, I've tried tons of blue powdered lighteners that claim to neutralize, but I really feel like this one did the job. I truly think with the right developer and with the right timing, we can get a beautiful lift and tone in one shot. I mean, how many times have we dreamed about bleaching somebody's hair with doing minimal toning? I really feel like this is the bleach lightener that can do that. Blonde Solutions scored a total of 83 points on the Manelli scale, ranking it at the number 2 spot. While the Manelli scale is not yet complete because I haven't added the bleach lighteners from the first few bleach lightener videos, Blonde Solutions still ranked pretty high in comparison to a lot of amazing brands. I'll definitely be using Blonde Solutions in the future. I'm really excited to add this to my arsenal, share it with my team, and thank you so much, Blonde Solutions, for giving me the opportunity to test this on my channel. Now that you've seen these results, I want to know your thoughts. If you're a Blonde Solutions user, please let me know what you love about this bleach lightener. And if you've never tried Blonde Solutions but maybe want to after watching this video, let me know down below in the comments. So I really want to thank you for watching this video. I really hoped you found some knowledge, got some insight on the ins and outs of Blonde Solutions. And if you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe, share this video with a hairstylist friend that might want to try Blonde Solutions. Like always, you can head on over to my website, MirellaManelli.com, sign up for my newsletter, and learn all of the amazing ways to work with me. You can also follow me on my other social channels like Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, all under Mirella Manelli. And if you're a hairstylist ready to level up your skills and business, I would love to see you inside Airbnb University. I want to put all of the links to everything I just mentioned down below in the description. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you in the next video.